Naoya Ino versus Luis Nery. Let's talk about the fight.
This fight was years in the making, as the stage for it was set many years ago when Luis Nery throttled Japan's own Shinsuke Yamanaka not once, but twice.
Testing positive for a banned substance after the first fight and blowing the weight in the second. No coincidence that he blew the weight in the second, having tested positive for a weight-cutting agent in the first. Luis Nery was very much the villain going into this thing. And you know what they say, that a hero is only as good
as his adversary.
Fighter's only as good as who he fights. The fighter's only as good as his opposition. Luis Nery, a 2-division champion, having reigned as WBC champion at both 118 and 122. The so obvious villain in this story, the antagonist that the Japanese fight fans badly wanted revenge, and they wanted Inoue to exact vengeance on him. He did.
They wanted it bad enough they actually lifted the lifetime ban they had placed on Luis Nery for testing positive for a banned substance, for blowing the weight. They lifted the ban.
And that's exactly what Naoya Ino did. Exact vengeance on Luis Nery, though not before hitting the deck, not before touching the canvas in the first round. I have to admit, my heart sank to my feet.
What was the site of the biggest upset in the sport of boxing, the Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson upset, was looking more and more like it was about to be the site for another monumental upset. In the first round, off a short left hand,
Luis Nery floored the undisputed 4-division champion, floored Naoya Ino, who didn't seem to be hurt. He wasn't on spaghetti legs per se. It was more of a flash knockdown.
High drama in the first round.
As big a scumbag as Luis Nery is, he let Naoya Ino and the Japanese fight fans know right then and there that he meant business.
Upset-minded.
Floors Naoya Ino off a short left hand on the inside, deep on the inside in the exchange. Inoue rises to his feet, and like I said, he's not hurt. He's not on spaghetti legs. He handled the situation well because he didn't sell out and try to trade with Nery afterwards. Nery
trying to, Inoue on his bicycle, creating distance, creating space between himself and Luis Nery, making him miss.
Moving around. Luis Nery doing what was appropriate in that situation, trying to pile on.
Though lacking the form and accuracy to do it effectively, Inoue survives the first round, returns the favor in the second.
That was the first time that Inoue was down in his career. With so much on the line and so many people watching, the Japanese fight fans so invested in an Inoue victory, it would have been easy to shrink in that situation, but it's actually Inoue's calm, his poise, that allowed him to weather that early storm and return the favor in the second round as he knocked down Luis Nery. It was a left hook that floored Naoya Ino in the first round, and it was a left hook that floored Luis Nery in the second.
Inoue wanted his lick back, and he got it.
From the second round on out, it was Inoue that was in control. As I stated in my prediction video, both Inoue and Luis Nery have power, but power alone would not decide the contest.
The outcome.
The difference in speed was telling between Inoue and Luis Nery. Speed and punch placement. The short bursts from Inoue. 2 and 3 punch combinations. Some punches upstairs, some down.
Keeping distance.
Managing it, moving around. Careful not to trade with Luis Nery, keeping a bit of space between them and letting go of short bursts periodically.
Nery showed a good chin. Good poker face.
For a while, but in rounds 2, 3, and 4, it had become established very quickly that Luis was out of his depth. Still dangerous and still powerful, though he wasn't going to win a boxing match.
His best bet was to get in with something big.
Inoue keeping control of the situation, fighting in bursts with more speed than Luis Nery could handle or could counter, trying to come forward.
Inoue would meet him with 2 and 3 punch combinations and finish off those combinations with a short jab to back off Luis Nery, stifle his momentum.
Snapping Nery's head back when he did it, assuming full control from rounds 2 into round 4. So much so, Inoue actually started showboating, teasing and taunting Nery, antagonizing him.
Very clear that Inoue was the ring general.
And Nery wasn't going to win a boxing match, so his best bet was to go for broke, sell out, try to land something big, which he did in the 5th round, and paid for it as he was knocked down for the second time. Down again in the 5th round off another counter left hook as Luis was lunging forward, trying to come on.
He knew he caught him coming in.
You look at those short left hooks from Naoya Ino. He doesn't load them up. He shoots from the hip. And at first glance, there doesn't seem to be that much on them. You don't know how powerful they are until you see the other fighter's reaction to when the punch connects.
Nery goes down for the second time. His eyes roll to the back of his head. He collapses.
Rises to his feet, survives the 5th round just to get punished even more in the 6th, where Inoue ended it.
Sensing that Nery was still hurt from the previous round, Inoue lets his hands go even more, throwing combinations, getting in with stiff right hands.
Several of them. We know that Luis Nery is a southpaw, and we also know that southpaws, more than orthodox fighters, are susceptible to the right hand. No coincidence that it was a right hand that ended it, that ended this fight.
After a salvo of punches got in,
short right hand, right down the middle, sent Luis Nery to the canvas for the second time. He collapsed. He was done.
Finished.
Vengeance belonged to the Japanese fight fans by way of Naoya Ino. For a perspective, if Inoue weren't there, if Inoue weren't at super bantamweight right now, it's probable that Luis Nery would have the run of the place. That Luis Nery is the second strongest puncher in this division.
Yeah, I think he proved that in the 1st round.
He's a strong puncher, he is. But Inoue is more than just a strong puncher. He's got the other bells and whistles that a Luis Nery doesn't have.
After the fight, on A State of Boxing with Timothy Bradley,
they get to talking about how it would be nice if he knew he would come to America to fight in America. He just filled a fucking stadium in Japan. 55,000 people. What the fuck does he need from America?
Enough about how he knew he needs to come to America. No, he doesn't.
What do you make of Inoue touching the canvas for what was the first time in his career? What about that?
When you fight good fighters, that's gonna happen. Anyone from Muhammad Ali to Floyd Mayweather unofficially, Terence Crawford unofficially.
They've been down. Though what matters most is how you react, how you respond. What matters most is what you do when you get back up, and most would cite Inoue's power, his speed, his accuracy, and his form as the reason he won the fight, whereas to me, the reason he won that fight is because of how he handled that knockdown. He had the frame of mind to take his time.
He didn't pop back up right away.
You could see that his eyes were clear, and when he rose to his feet, his legs were still steady. But he didn't trade with Luis Nery looking to get his lick back straight away. He composed himself, took control of the situation. That's what won him the fight.
How he handled that adversity early in what was the biggest stage he had ever fought on. Oh, he's fought for the undisputed crown 2 times, but in many ways, this was the biggest stage for him.
He's fought for belts. He's fought for belts across 4 divisions. Fought for undisputed in 2. But in many ways, this was the fight where the most was on the line and where the fans were the most invested.
That was a show.
The early knockdown, the scare, it only added to the show's appeal and entertainment value.
Anyone from the great Vasyl Lomachenko to Andre Ward has been down, has been on the canvas, but like I said, it's not what you do when you're down, it's getting back up. That's what matters.
Vengeance belongs to Japan this morning. Vengeance exacted by none other than the monster, Naoya Ino, who stayed in character and delivered like he always does.
Congratulations to him. It was well worth getting up early.
Video surfaced this morning of Javante Davis, the manlet, somewhere in Las Vegas, calling out Devon Haney when he's already signed to fight droopy-eyed Frank.
I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
No side.
So what if you are? You're already signed on to fight someone else and everybody knows it because you announced the fight this past Saturday. What? You wait until Ryan Garcia loads up on steroids and beats Devon Haney so you can start behaving like this? All while you're signed on to fight someone else, and that's the key. He's signed on to fight someone else right now. So what the fuck is this? You trying to get into a fist fight with Devon Haney?
No, he's trying to promote a shitty little fight.
He's trying to promote the fight with droopy-eyed Frank by stirring up controversy wherever he can. I told you in my previous video, he's gonna talk about Ryan, talk up Ryan, talk down Devon, he's gonna talk about Eddie Hearn, he's gonna talk about anything and everything but the guy he's about to fight, because the guy he's about to fight hasn't given anyone anything to talk about.
The man is so obscure that most people don't know he got a gift decision in his last fight, the fight with Olympian Artem Haratunian.
The guy is so unknown, most people don't know if he's good or bad. The few that do know of him, Javante Davis' supporters, are trying to talk him up.
But to who?
Remember that your average Javante Davis fan will talk down Teofimo Lopez, talk down Devon Haney, talk down Shakur Stevenson, Vasyl Lomachenko, talk down virtually anyone and everyone who's actually accomplished something, talk them down to talk this guy up.
Why? What has he accomplished?
What has he done and who has he beat that we're supposed to look at him as being on par or better than them? What? What exactly?
That's boxing. These people don't know shit about boxing.
And if the manlet known as Javante Davis is somewhere in Las Vegas screaming at the top of his lungs at Devon Haney, it's because he knows his fight needs a profile, because the guy he's about to fight doesn't have one. It's because he knows this is one of the only ways he can promote this show. This thing ain't gonna do what he did with Ryan last year, and he knows that.
Yeah.
He also knows that Ryan is buzzing right now more than he is, even though he beat Ryan.
Yeah.
He's saying anything and everything to get people to pay attention to him, though ultimately, who does it really appeal to? Does it appeal to the people who actually spend money on boxing?
We're about to find out.
I don't get tired of bringing this up. That Javante Davis never came close to doing 1 million or even 500,000 pay-per-view buys until the Ryan Garcia fight.
And you're not going to get back to those numbers fighting people like this.
Because your core supporters, you don't have enough of them. The baseline for a Javante Davis pay-per-view hovers around 200,000 buys, a little under or a little over. You don't have enough core fans, and Frank...
The only people talking him up are your fans.
It's a preemptive attempt to talk up another Javante Davis opponent as some kind of a somebody for having done nothing to nobody.
As usual.
The only group of people doing that are the same group of idiots that are supporting Javante, so it's essentially the same people. You're not fighting a guy who's bringing a different set of supporters, a different set of fans to the table. It's all the same mongoloids that are always talking you up.
And how many of them are going to buy this fight?
This little chicken shit's just lucky I want to see that David Benavidez versus Alexander Vojtic fight, because if not for that, I'd skip it.
Coward.
He's a fucking coward and the poster child for fucking cowards, because you wait up until Ryan beats Devon to start doing stuff like this. You could have been doing stuff like this. The only reason you're doing it now is because you know nobody knows the guy you're fighting.
Gotta make headlines somehow.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I touched him with 16-ounce gloves on, and he ran. Imagine if I hit him with 8-ounce.
You hit this fucking clown. Imagine. That's what you have to do if you're a Javante Davis fan. You have to imagine that he's fighting these people because he's not actually going to do it. You're signed on to fight Frank Martin, the guy who avoided Shakur Stevenson last year. And in order to sell that fight, you're going to talk about Shakur Stevenson.
Generational cornball.
Coward. What is the poster child for cowards and their various burner accounts they use online to talk up Javante Davis to people that don't want to listen to them because they know what he's doing by now.
Watching the host's reaction to Javante Davis go back into the same gym stories we've been hearing about for years, he didn't seem all that impressed with Javante.
His folk tales about sparring sessions, how many years ago he sparred Shakur Stevenson when he was what? When he was a kid? When you were in your early 20s and he was in his teens. Did your moms take you out for ice cream afterwards?
You're almost 30 now. What the hell are you still talking about that stuff for? Saying imagine if you hit him. We shouldn't have to imagine. We're all gathered here to see you do it.
We shouldn't have to imagine what you would do to Shakur Stevenson. You should be the one to initiate talks to go in there and do it. Not fight the guy who avoided Shakur last year.
It's the routine.
And I think that people are getting hip to it, that as soon as Javante Davis is signed on to fight someone, likely someone no one is asking him to fight, he starts talking about all the people that people do want to see him fight. Devon, Haney, Shakur Stevenson. I hear he's taking shots at his old promoter, Floyd Mayweather, doing anything and everything to make headlines, get people talking about him.
Because they're not talking about his opponent, and they're not talking about his fight.
As he goes into another rousing round of gym stories as his accessories rub together.
Jewelry. He's an uptown girl, who's been living in an uptown world.
Give it a rest, Queen Latifah. We've heard this story before. We've heard this already. Do you have anything new to say? Can you give us an ETA on when we can expect you to fight these people you want us to imagine you would fight? Imagine what you would do. Can you give us an ETA on when you actually plan on doing it?
It's brazen cowardice is what it is.
Which speaks to a deeper problem within the populace and its younger generation, what cowardice they are willing to allow.
For a feeling of solidarity.
This is your king? This is your idol, your icon, a guy who waits good up until Devon Haney loses to find his stones, find his balls. Oh, now you want to call him out. Now you're on his side of town. What the hell have you been doing this whole time?
What?
Guy who waits good up until he signed on to fight somebody else to start talking about what he would do to Shakur Stevenson.
Why, you oughta.
Coward culture. Throwing a stone, then hiding your hand. Because for all the shots that you've been taking at all these people, you've had ample opportunity to fight any one and every one of them in previous years. You just willfully choose not to.
You say you're the A-side, and you say you're the biggest name, but what comes with being the biggest name is making the biggest fights. And this ain't it.
Your fans seem to hold every other fighter to some kind of a standard except you, but who do those people actually hold weight with? Who listens to them?
They're not a quantifiable metric on the board because they don't actually spend any money. They spend all their time online talking you up just to be the same ones that steal your fight.
It's the kind of fucking hapless idiots Javante Davis really appeals to. That's who supports him, if you even want to call that support.
You better buy his fight.
Go on, get into an exchange with one of these bozos and ask them to produce a receipt. The receipts for all the Davis fights they've bought since they like him so much. I'll bet you they can.
They won't because you don't buy shit. Shut the fuck up.